Hi, welcome to this video. My name's Freya and I have a little yoga business called Essential Yoga with Freya. A question that I get asked a lot as a yoga teacher is what to expect from your first yoga class. So I've put together a series of videos to help guide you through what to expect so that the idea of going to your first in-person yoga class isn't so daunting. I've done a video that explains what you might need to bring and the structure of a yoga class, so I will link that here and I'll pop it in the description below. There'll be 5 videos in the series where we'll do the pranayama breathing, 3 asana videos from the different sections in a yoga class, and then a meditation video. And then after I've done each of those each week, I'll pop them all together so you can practice them all together or you can practice each separately. So yeah, I hope you enjoy the little series. If you have any questions about what to expect from your first yoga class or any other yoga questions in general, then just pop a comment below and I will endeavour to answer them. Enjoy! Welcome to this middle section of our little collection of videos. So in this week's practice we're going to be doing some of the standing poses, so what we'd be doing in the middle bit of the yoga class. So we will come to kneeling in child's pose or ancestral worship towards the back of your mat. If you find kneeling uncomfortable, it can be quite helpful to pop a blanket between the feet and the bum, or you can use your block. It takes a little bit of the pressure out of the knees, so that's a good one to try. Or if kneeling completely is not available to you, then spinning the feet round and have a good bend in the knees and come instead into this pose. So you're creating that sort of support of the upper body and the lower body, but without the pressure in your knees. So adapt as you need to. Again, talk to your yoga teacher. If you can't kneel, just let them know and they'll be able to give you some other adaptations. So if you can kneel, coming to child's pose, taking a moment, just drawing the awareness in, connecting into the breath and into the body. Lovely. So from here we're going to stretch the hands out in front if they're not already. Elbows lifted in ancestral worship. So we're going to come up into downward facing dog. Now starting in ancestral worship is one of the best ways to get the right distance between your hands and your feet for downward facing dog. So if you stretch your hands as far away as you can without lifting your hips, so the elbows are lifted, you're stretching right the way through the upper body. With your inhale, we're going to bring the weight forwards towards the hands. So hands are about a shoulder distance apart. You want your feet hip distance apart. Tuck in the toes under, so we're going to start with a good bend in the knees. So lifting the knees up off the mat. So keep that bend in the knees and you're going to send the belly back towards the thighs. So you're finding that length through the upper body first. So try and draw the shoulders down away from the ears, head in line with the rest of the spine. So the ears are in line with the upper arms. So you can keep this bend in the knees. Downward dog isn't about straightening the legs, it isn't about getting the heels down towards the mat. However, if you want to, you can start to walk the heels slightly. I've got fluff on my feet, sorry. So starting to walk the heels slightly. Again, they don't have to go right the way down to the mat. If you find that you start to walk the heels and the weight comes forwards towards the hands and the back starts to round, then come back to that bent knee position. So giving the heels a little walk, maybe shake the head, nod the head, ease into the pose. have a little play around. Everybody's body is different. So I find with my downward facing dog, having my feet a little bit wider than hip distance is more comfortable. That helps me to tilt the pelvis and the tailbone up towards the ceiling. Whereas when I bring my feet together, I find that it presses everything forward and I start to round into the lower back. So I tend to take my feet out a little bit wider. But just listen to your own body, find variations that work best for you. So then from here, we're going to lift the gaze towards the top of the mat, and we're just going to walk the feet forward. So bend into the knees, lift the fingertips, coming forward into Uttanasana, our standing forward fold. So again, have a good bend in the knees. You might find it more comfortable to have the hands on the legs at whatever height is best for you. Any issues with the heart, blood pressure, glaucoma, it can be better to be halfway rather than fully folded forward. So you can just rest the hands on the thighs, come to halfway instead. Also, if you've got a cold or hay fever or any sinus issues, it can be a bit uncomfortable having the head down. So coming to halfway is good, and you'll still be getting that stretch into the back of the legs. Or if it is okay to be fully folded forward, hands can be on the calves or they can be down onto the mat. Thinking about the weight coming forwards towards the toes, crown of the head lengthening down towards the mat. Great. So from here, we're going to have a little bend in the knees. Inhale, take the arms out and up. Draw yourself all the way up to standing, reaching the hands up towards the ceiling. Exhale, draw the hands down to prayer in front of the heart. So standing up nice and tall in Tadasana, mountain pose. Sometimes called Svadhisthita, which is a call to action. So it's about standing evenly balanced between right and left, front and back, joints all stacked one on top of the other. Feeling nice and strong and stable. So from here we're going to go into Warrior One. So for Warrior One, keeping that gap between your feet, you're going to step back with the left foot. So a nice big step back. Oh, I'm wobbling. A nice big step back. Make sure you've still got that gap between the feet, or else you'll definitely be wobbly if you've ended up all on a tightrope. So we've got that gap between the feet, and your back toes are turned out just a little, around 45 degrees. But this will depend on your hip rotation. So what we're trying to do is have the hips facing the front of the mat. So just turn the toes as much as you need to so that you can keep the hips facing the front of the mat. And then bend into that right knee. So we're then pushing through the back heel, tilt the tailbone just slightly so that you're lengthening up through the upper back. We're just trying not to stick the bum out and create a big arch in the lower back. So just that little bend into bend, that little tuck in with the tailbone. Then we're taking the arms out and up, palms facing, shoulders down. Any shoulder issues, you can always keep the hands in prayer in front of the heart instead. Warrior One. Lovely, feeling nice and strong. We'll take one more breath here. And then nice big step forward, bringing the hands down to prayer, coming back to the top of the mat. We'll go on the other side. So again, check in, make sure the feet are hip distance apart. We'll step back with the right foot this time. So keep that gap between the feet. Back toes turned out around 45 degrees. Bending into the left knee. Again, tuck the tailbone just slightly. If you know you have a natural posterior tilt, so you don't have too much of a curve in the lower back, then ignore that. Find the version that works best for you. We're just trying to stand up nice and tall and not have a big arch in the lower back. Take the arms out and up, palms facing, shoulders down. This can be one of the great things about going to in-person yoga classes. YouTube yoga is great and it's very helpful, but I can't see you and your specific anatomy and physiology. So for some people, that little arch into the lower back is a good thing. For some people, they already have quite an anterior tilt to their pelvis, so the arch into the lower back is extended and they need to think about that tuck. It's different for everybody, so your yoga teacher will be able to look at you and give you adaptations that you need to, or cues that you need to hear. So we'll take one more breath. And draw the hands down to prayer. And stepping forward. Lovely, give the legs a little wriggle. So you can stay facing that way on your mat. I'm just going to turn to face you for a moment. We're going to go into tree pose. So we'll take the weight into the left foot, turn the right knee out. So you can either stay on your toes, you can bring the foot to the calf, or you can take hold of the ankle and bring that foot to the inside of the thigh. I'm clearly having a very wobbly day today. So with balance, remember that it does change and alter from day to day, even from hour to hour. So don't worry if you're feeling very wobbly one day and you can't hold a balance. It happens to everybody, me included. You can always hold on to walls, or a chair can be quite helpful. Again, just chat to your yoga teacher. They'll be able to offer you alternatives. So hands can be in prayer in front of the heart. Then with an inhale, honestly, I told you I can't balance today. With an inhale, you're going to take the arms out and up, reaching up towards the ceiling, or you can bring them to prayer above the crown. Lovely. Remember to keep breathing. Breathing helps with the balance. Holding your breath, not so much. Then we'll exhale, draw the hands down to prayer in front of the heart, and release that foot. And give the legs a little wriggle. Wonderful. We'll go on to the other side. So weight going into the right foot this time, turning the left knee out. So again, either stay on the toes, foot to calf, or bringing that foot to the inside of the thigh. Great. Hands going to prayer in front of the heart. So particularly ladies, your hormones will affect how you balance as well. So as our hormones change throughout the month, it can change our proprioception, so our understanding of our body in space and our balance. So don't be worried if that changes quite a lot. If you like, taking the arms out and up, either palms facing, hands stretching out, or hands to prayer above the crown. So when there's wobbles, just go with those wobbles, don't try and fight them. Try to let the body recalibrate itself. Wonderful. Then draw the hands down to prayer in front of the heart. And release that foot. And give the legs a little wriggle. Lovely work. So currently you're facing the short edge of the mat. We're going to turn around and face the long edge of the mat. So we're facing to the side. We're going to take a big step out about a leg's length apart. Lovely. We're going to go into warrior two. So we're going to turn our right toes out. Now, again, this depends on your hip rotation. So some people find it best to have the heels in line. Some people prefer to have the heel and the instep in line. So you decide what works best for you, but we're bending into that right knee. Now we're working towards having a right angle behind that bent knee. But for now, find just the version of the pose that you can hold for a little bit of time. So it's quite a deep pose to have the right angle behind the knee. You're really working the thighs. So you might find that having the feet a little closer together and having a bit less of a bend in the knee is more comfortable. What we're trying to not do though is bend so far that the knee is tracking beyond the ankle. So try and find the pose that works best for you, pushing into the outside edge of that back foot, lifting the instep. Then we're going to bring the arms up at shoulder height, palms facing down.
And just check in with that back hand. It has a habit of floating to all sorts of different directions. Let's try and make sure it's going in a nice straight line. And check in with the rib cage. So the rib cage might have travelled over that right leg a little. Try and bring it back so you're coming in a nice straight line up from the hips. And then we're going to look over the right hand. And you're in warrior two. Great, we'll take one more breath. And you're going to straighten through that right leg. And we're going to come into Trikonasana triangle pose. So our palm's going to face front. You're going to inhale to lengthen up. Exhale, extend the rib cage over that right leg. And then rotate down. So, a few variations here. You can have a little bend in that front knee. That can help a little so that you're not feeling quite so much strain in the knee and the hip. If it is straight, again, make sure you've got that little micro bend in the knee so you're not locking the knee out. Your hand can either come down on the inside of the knee, the inside of the calf, or you can reach all the way down to the mat. However, if you're reaching all the way down to the mat, make sure this top shoulder isn't dropping. So you're keeping that top shoulder lifted. If you do find it's dropping, bring yourself back up a little. This top arm can reach up, or you can wrap it around the back of the waist. Either looking down towards the mat, straight ahead, or up towards the ceiling. Lovely. Then we'll inhale, draw ourselves all the way back up, lower the hands, and we're going to turn to go on the other side. So turning the left toes out, again, have a little wriggle around, find the best stance for you, bend into that left knee. So you might find as well that front knee rolls in a little. Use the adductors, press back with that knee. So the knee is tracking towards the toes. You should be able to just see your big toe. If you can't see your big toe, but you can see your little toes, it's definitely rolling in. Keep pressing back with that knee. Bringing the arms up, shoulder height, palms facing down. Some people like to bring their hands in towards their chest and then stretch out just to find that balance between the back and front arm. So whatever works best for you. Looking over that left hand. Wonderful. We're going to straighten through that left leg. Turn the palms face front. So the inhale lengthens up. The exhale extends over that left leg and then rotating down. So again, hand to the inside of the knee. It can go down to the inside of the calf. It can go right the way down to the mat. This one as well, if you do have blocks or bricks, can be quite good. Popping a brick down or a block and popping the hand onto that instead. So it just keeps you a little bit lifted and gives you something to have a nice little lean on. If that top hand gets tingly, wrap it around the back of the waist instead. This can help you to lift that top shoulder. Gaze either down, straight ahead, or looking up towards the ceiling. Lovely. And inhaling, coming all the way back up, lowering the arms, heel toe the feet in, and then give the legs a little wriggle. Fantastic. So stepping back towards the front of your mat, we're going to have a nice bend in the knees, hands heavy, chin in towards the chest, and rolling down. Once you reach your full forward fold, take hold of opposite elbows and just ragdoll from side to side. So let gravity do the work. Weight forwards towards the toes. Lovely. Then release the hands, slowly rolling up through the spine,
Take your time. Give the shoulders a little roll back when you reach the top. Wonderful. So that brings us to the end of this little section. So I hope you enjoyed it. Join me next Monday for the next part of this series. Yeah, make sure you subscribe, hit the little bell button so you get notified when the new video is up. Om Shanti.